Hey guys, we're going to be building some snow shelters. A lot of things to consider in the winter is you can, but you don't necessarily want to be in a tent. Tents usually are a little bit colder than a snow shelter, just based on the natural physics of snow. Snow stays usually between 32 and 30 degrees. If you're exposed for a prolonged period of time out in the winter, having some sort of shelter that's actually in the snow, in conjunction with a sleeping system, it can help you extend the time period in which you need to survive. When it comes to shelter building, usually I look for, again, depending on if I'm in an emergency situation, I'll consider visibility. So if I want to be seen, as in my vehicle might have broken down in the middle of nowhere, I'll build a shelter next to me and try and mark that area in some way I can, whether it's that's a SOS signal or emergency blankets, flares, stuff like that. But if I want to not be seen, I'll usually look for some sort of secluded softwood where I can collect and gather everything that I need to, yet still have concealment around without going and destroying the concealment that I need. If you know that you're going to get cold very, very fast and you don't have the proper gear, you don't have the proper layering system with you, it'll determine what kind of shelter you need to make.
Hey guys, so we just built a A-frame shelter. We're modifying the entrance a little bit right now so that way it'll cut out any cold air coming in from wind or anything like that, help protect us from the elements a little bit more. We built this up basically with a large branch angled here. We built support structures on the side, paracord them together, help build a good triangular structure. Triangles are much stronger shapes than anything else. After that, you're going to layer up all the pine that you can. What that's doing is it's helping insulation wise. It's also helping to catch all the snow. So the snow is the main source of insulation. Pine needles alone are not that great for insulating properties, but the snow is. The pine needles help build that structure here, and then we can start to pile up the snow at the snow center and build a really stable system. Overall, this is a really simple system. It takes a decent amount of energy. It's not super difficult to make, and it's going to keep us really warm tonight. So my buddy and I, we're going to be climbing in tonight, snuggling up and trying to stay warm. So if you have any girlfriend or wife and you've seen that she was making a nice puzzle and you secretly had the last piece hidden, you came into the room and then you put that last piece in and said that you helped with the entire project, that's the best way to make a snow shelter. So here I have the shelter that I built by having one of my friends build it for me, and I get to do the finishing touch right here. So this is now a complete shelter here. It's gonna be super warm and it's good to go. You really had to put no effort into it, and that's the best part about it. If the pine trees are rocking, don't come knocking.
The pine boughs are swaying, we're in there playing. Morning, Ethan. Morning.
So right now I'm trying to put my level 5 pants back on inside the sleeping bag because it's frigid. And then after that, I'm going to try to get my boots on, which are also in the sleeping bag, to try to keep them warm and dry. And then from there, I'll probably try to get my jacket on, and then I'll crawl out of the sleeping bag and I'll put on my level 7s because this initial bit is going to be really cold, especially because I'm not going to be moving much. And yeah, it feels like it's in the single digits right now. Yeah, I slept with a beanie on my head most of the night, or I'm wearing an alpaca hoodie, and I would put that hood on if the beanie came off. But overall, it's pretty comfortable. No real complaints. I think the only time that I woke up because I was cold was because I needed to go to the bathroom, and after I alleviated that and drank some more water, it was pretty easy to go back to sleep. But it's a little after 6 a.m. I'm actually really nice and warm and toasty right now, so I don't even want to get out. Piss bottles are everything, because you do not want to get out in negative temperatures in the middle of the night when you don't have all of your hard shells or insulating layers on.
So last night we slept out in this A-frame shelter, and I just want to go over some of the important components to setting it up properly. So when it comes to sleeping in the cold, you want to have a good base layer to start with, and that is your foam mattress basically. So this is a Thermarest. These don't have a super high R rating value, but what they do is they help put a barrier between your primary sleep system and the ground, and they will help add an extra level of insulation. So these are pretty cheap. They're like around 40 bucks if I recall correctly, and a great piece of kit. So you lay that out first, and then you're going to take your main system here. So this is one of the Nemos. This is an Alpine version. This has an R rating of 4.0, which means that it's a pretty high standard. And it's a good amount of insulation. There's actually a reflective material inside of here, and it helps keep you really warm. One really key detail to a lot of sleep systems is that they're all rated based on using a 4.0 sleep pad. So if you're using a sleep pad that's less than that, your sleeping bag is not going to be at that same rated temperature. So it's important to understand that and do a little bit of research. Sometimes those vary. The military might have some different rating spectrums based on the layers that you're wearing as well. But it's important to understand your system and do a little bit of research to see, hey, what's the pairing that I need to have in order for me to get the ratings for this sleep system. Up next, we've got our 3-piece military sleeping system. So the outer shell here in M81 is a sleep bivy. This is a Gore-Tex bivy. So this is great to keep you nice and dry. It's going to work in rain, it's going to work in snow, it's going to help out for a lot of different situations. Your next 2 layers are going to be your insulating properties here. It's important to buckle these all together, because if you're moving around in the night and these start to roll around, you're going to lose where those zippers are and you're going to run into some little issues. So it's important to buckle these all up together. Overall, this is rated supposed to be around -40. Depends on how old this model is, because the materials here will deteriorate over time and become a little bit less effective. So trying to get new ones, and then make sure that you're stuffing them properly and leaving them out if you can whenever you're not in use is key. But it's a mummy system, so you're going to be cinching up your head, basically trying to create a nice comfort and pocket of air here that's going to wrap around your head and keep you nice and warm. It's important to leave your mouth out of this system, because you're going to be exhaling a lot of moisture. If you're exhaling that moisture and it's getting trapped back into your system, that's going to lead to a lot of issues. You don't want that moisture on your face. You can get hypothermia from little things like that over time if you start getting really wet in this bag. Another few key details for this is what you keep inside of your sleep system. It's not that you just climb in there and you're good to go and you leave all your gear out. You want to make sure that you keep certain essentials in there. So I personally recommend keeping in whatever clothes you're going to wear the next day. So I had my level 5 pants, and I had an Arc'teryx jacket in there. I had these gloves. I also had my water during the night, so that way it doesn't freeze over. And I had my boots in the base of the bivy. So the way I set those up, and I got to experiment with it a little bit, is to I had the water initially in my direct sleeping bag, but I found that I would roll over during the night and it would actually wake me up because the water is still cold. So switching that out to be maybe one of the mid layers, or just not the direct layer that you're in. Having the gloves directly inside was great this morning, putting those on and not having to worry about my hands freezing. Ups and downs of things, make sure that you have good sleeping pads and a good setup for that to let your insulation work to its best, and make sure you protect it with a bivy. But overall, really not a terrible experience. It was pretty warm in there for the most part. The only area that was a little bit cold was in the morning. We had a little bit of a draft coming in, but overall I slept really well, and it was a good time.